As many of you probably know, the Xbox 360 online store on the console itself and the Xbox 360 marketplace is going to be closing here on July 29th. And while I try my best not to succumb or be victim to the fear of missing out when any of these online store closures are happening, it kind of got the best of me this time. So hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing 6 mystery unboxings, and I kind of open the slip there just a little bit. You can see we do have some Xbox 360 goodness here, among a few other things. These are packages that I've kind of had sitting around for a while. I was going to include them in a pickups video for a number of games I've gotten over the past 6 to 7 months that's sitting over here behind the couch. So this will kind of be the beginning of that big giant pile of pickups that I'm going to be showing probably in my next video. But I figured, why not do a classic mystery unboxing video? I don't think I've done this for a number of years, and one of the first times I did it, I think I was sitting in my college dorm room many years ago.
So many other things, and he does the artwork for this series as well. And if you guys haven't guessed it already, I'm going to go ahead and show the game. That is Dragon Quest V, Hand of the Heavenly Bride. Now, this game was actually really hard to get a hold of.
Now, like I said, I try not to fall victim to the FOMO of these online stores closing, but certainly when the Vita and the 3DS eShop closed, I cleaned the heck up on a lot of games I've been holding off buying, because I think we get ourselves into this mindset that these online stores are just going to be there forever, and the sad reality is they're not. And a lot of these digital storefronts will eventually come to an end, and that's the case here soon for the Xbox 360. But a quick little history lesson for me, this is my original Xbox collection, and then I have a very pared down Xbox 360 collection nowadays. That was my console of choice during that era. I bought all my multi-platform releases on the 360, played a lot of the exclusives on the PS3, of course, and then everything on the Wii as well during that time. But the 360 was the console to have, in my opinion, of that era, and I am tremendously nostalgic for that time. I mean, really just the Wii, the Nintendo DS, and the 360. And so it was really fun to kind of go through the Xbox 360 library, whether it was through YouTube videos or picking up some old Game Informer magazines and just thumbing through those, reading reviews or previews for games that I had never played before. And naturally going to eBay and starting to browse and see what are the games that I have not yet played, or what are the games that I have played and I'd like to get a copy again, and have the prices gotten to a point where it's just way too out of hand, and I'm just gonna have to, say, you know what, my pockets aren't that deep, I'm okay not playing that game ever, or having a physical copy in my collection. But I feel like the games that I did get, most of which I have not played, some of which are getting pretty pricey, but I just bit the bullet and said, you know what, I'm excited to play these games, and I got a number of them. So not all of this is Xbox 360 related. I will say that there's a couple games that are not on the Xbox side of things, but what do you say we go ahead and get started here with some good old mystery unboxings. And what I'll do is I'll try, and once I know which game is in the package here, do a little bit of a tease for the audience, just so you can try and get your guesses in. There are no door prizes, unfortunately, but I do appreciate that you're here watching an Ari Lewis 2011 video here in the good old year 2024. It's very much appreciated. So, this is a game that I have never played. It is a first-person shooter that many would consider a hidden gem of the 360 PS3 era. It was developed by Raven Software and is often compared to the classic BioShock. That is Singularity. One of the things that struck me about this when I was watching gameplay and just reading previews in magazines was that it had a really similar resemblance to the more recent Wolfenstein games developed by Machine Games. The shooting mechanics just looked really strong and tight. There seemed to be a pretty decent single-player story there, and as I said earlier, a lot of people compared it to BioShock because you have this time manipulation device that the character uses where you can kind of speed up time, bring time forward, or use it in some capacity to stun and kill enemies. So, and this is one of those great games where it's like a 5 to 6 hour campaign bit of a dark story, and I figured, yes, this is my type of game. I love the more recent Wolfenstein games, and I just love me a good first-person shooter every now and again, and Singularity really seems like a pretty decent hit of that era. So happy to have this one. We've got some good old Game Informer sticker there, and it's not even complete, unfortunately, but I don't even care. I'm just happy to have Singularity, and I'm looking forward to playing this hopefully in the near future. This next package here, also from eBay, I did cut it open here, the bubble wrap, so we'll open her on up, and okay, this is a good one. I think this is what many point to as one of the best sleeper hits on the Xbox 360. It was Andy Serkis did some motion capture for this one, and it has a loose retelling of Journey to the West, and that is Enslaved: Odyssey to the West, developed by Ninja Theory. And as I understand it, this is a great looking copy too. Nice and minty fresh complete. We've even got some sexy Robot Trip DLC content, but I'm going to keep that code to myself. And yeah, so it was developed by Ninja Theory. As I understand it, they were developing a sequel to Heavenly Sword on the PS3. They scrapped that and instead made Enslaved: Odyssey to the West. And it's post-apocalyptic, 150 years in the future. You play as this guy named Monkey, who is voiced, and the mocap is done by Andy Serkis. And it's kind of a, I don't want to say old school, but PS2, Xbox 360 era action, hack and slash, puzzle platformer. I was even doing some read-up on it, and they were saying that some of the dynamics between Monkey, the main character, and the woman in the game, I'm not sure what her name is, the developers drew inspiration from Ico and Yorda. So I was like, sign me the heck up. Just really lush, vibrant environments that you're kind of platforming and making your way through. Again, this is definitely one of the sleeper hits of the 360 era, and one I have shamefully never played. So very much looking forward to playing this and seeing what all the hype was about that many years ago. And I've heard that the game still holds up today. So should be good times. Have you played Enslaved: Odyssey of the West? Let me know what you think. Again, I have an exclusive Sexy Robot Trip DLC code, so we'll make sure to see if the previous owner ever used that. All right, next up we have a pretty big box. I don't know why they would have put a singular Xbox 360 game in here, but we will see what's going on in here. And that's exactly what they did, with a bunch of grocery bags for padding. You love to see it. All right, this is actually a rebuy. I own 2 copies of this game now, and I originally played this game on the PS3, but I played, and this is a sequel, and I played the first game in this series on the 360. You can see my copy, the white spine over here, the much beloved, fan favorite Final Fantasy game, Final Fantasy 13. Where are all my 13 super fans? We have 13 too. So I have the collector's edition up here of the PS3 game, which is actually really nice, by the way. You can probably still get that on the Square Enix store for like $30. It comes with 4-disc soundtrack and the game, little art book, good stuff. I loved 13 too. I loved how they took the paradigm system of 13 and added this monster catching mechanic to it that was very reminiscent of Pokemon. And while you were playing as Sarah and Noel and not our beloved Lightning in this particular game, it was still really good. The story got very convoluted. I guess that should be no surprise because 13 was an absolute mess of a story at times. But 13-2, it kind of borrows inspiration from Chrono Trigger in the sense that you're kind of going to all these different time periods. And when you're in these different environments, there are a variety of different monsters that you can collect and add to your 3-person party. So Sarah, Noel, and then one other creature. And you can run around fighting with a Kakatar. Like, that's just good stuff. And really eclectic soundtrack. It's kind of all over the place at times, but I personally really dug it. It kind of is the 10-2 to 10 in that sense, where they just kind of go off the rails at times. Some shredding like hair metal, electric guitar riffs. It's kind of bananas, but it's also pretty freaking good. And I really want to do a replay of this on the 360 because I believe it looks quite a bit better when played on a Series X, and the load times are better as well. And even if they're not, I can get some fresh achievements playing on the 360 because I never originally played it there. So looking forward to a replay of this, but my goodness, I just want a remastered trilogy collection for current generation consoles because we somehow do not have that yet. So Square Enix, you've done it for 10, 12, just about the Pixel Remaster Collection. Why can't we show 13 some love? You know I'd show up and probably buy 2 copies for it. All right, 3 packages down, 3 more to go, and I think we only have one more Xbox 360 game, and I'm glad we kind of actually saved this unintentionally for last because this is the one I'm most excited to play. And oddly enough, they sent it in this, what even is this? A Danish brand collection of baby things. We've got like little sippy cups, bibs. That is not what's in this box, but maybe no better opportunity to say that I'm gonna be a dad, and I'm recording this on Father's Day, which is also kind of unintentional. But yes, my wife and I are expecting this fall, and we could not be more excited. So maybe I'll do some videos related to being a gamer dad here in the near term. But another video for another day. For some reason, Danish kid products, that's what they sent this game in, which is kind of wild and also kind of hilarious when you see the game. It has nothing to do with babies, but it's not for babies. So let's just make that abundantly clear. And kind of hard to get this box open, but we did it. And well packaged here. Little ASMR for the people out there that are into that. So, pretty decent copy. This is probably the one I'm most ashamed to say that I paid a pretty penny, and I really didn't need to. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. Like, the prices, I don't know if they're going to continue to skyrocket or not. And so, I got as good a copy as I could that was listed on eBay for a pretty pricey deal, but we won't really get into that. Let's do a tease. So, this is a game for a long-running series. It's exclusive to the Xbox 360, this particular game, and I believe the series debuted on the PlayStation 1. And the real giveaway here is that this game is developed by From Software, and that is Tenchu Z. Yes, the From Software famous for the Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and that wonderful series of games. Become the ultimate ninja assassin, master the ancient art of stealth. So as I understand it, the gameplay I've watched, this is it plays very similar to the prior Tenchu games where there is a heavy emphasis on stealth, but the scale and scope of the game is much, much bigger than those previous games on the PS1, PS2, and original Xbox. And of course, with it being developed by From Software, I'm really curious to see if we see a little bit of the Dark Souls, Sekiro parry, or anything like that, any of the mechanics that we've come to be very familiar with among the Soulsborne type games, if we see any early signs of that in Tenchu Z. Because again, I have not played it, but I know that unlike the earlier Tenchu games, you can create your own character in this one. You have skills and experience points and all those things that you can allocate to your character as you kind of go through the story. So very much looking forward to this one as well. Again, exclusive to the 360. I see this game only going up in price. I'm not trying to create additional FOMO for other people watching or listening to this, but I'm just glad for myself that I secured a copy before it gets way too out of my price range. So looking forward to playing this one soon. So that was everything Xbox 360 related. Now we're going to get into the PS5 mystery unboxings. And this first one here is actually from Best Buy. They had a couple games discounted on their online store. I'd suggest downloading the Best Buy app and just every once in a while browsing PS5, Switch, Xbox games, whatever it might be, just because they've unfortunately gotten away from having physical media in their stores, which is so unfortunate. I have so many great memories of going to Best Buy and just seeing the walls and walls of games, CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays, and I think that's the end of an era, unfortunately. But they still have games you can buy online, and that's where I got these 3 games here. So let's do one by one here. This first game is, I believe, a remake of a game that came out on the PS2, and there might even be 2 games in this package. Very goofy, silly. You roll your character around the world, and it's almost like a snowball effect where you're picking up all these different objects, and the ball continues to get bigger. Any guesses? I'm sure we all probably know. We love Katamari Reroll. So I've never played a Katamari game before. I've always wanted to play the one on the Xbox 360, but never got around to it, and this was $20 on the Best Buy online store. So I figured, give this a chance. I do believe it's a collection of 2 games. You can correct me in the comments as always, but again, just looking forward to playing something goofy, silly, maybe a fun game to play around the holidays or even here during the summer. Just easy on the mind, goofy, good times. This next one, I have physical copies of the 2 games that make up this collection on the PlayStation 4, but I might get rid of those in favor of this remastered collection because I believe this was $10, and I am a huge fan of this series. It got its start on the PlayStation 3, and we've since seen 5 console games and 1 game on the Vita. This is the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection, with Uncharted 4 and Uncharted Lost Legacy. I recently got the Platinums in Uncharted 2 and 3, and maybe someday I'll go for the Platinum in this Legacy of Thieves collection. I could play the original Uncharted original Uncharted trilogy almost every year. They're really just comfort food games for me. I know a lot of people aren't a fan of the third-person shooting mechanics or the puzzle solving or whatever you don't like about the Uncharted games. I love the stories. Nate and Elena's story, especially over those first 4 games, is fantastic, and the story in Lost Legacy is really good too with Chloe and Nadine. So just favorite games of mine. Happy to have that remaster collection. And then last but certainly not least, we have one of the most Ari Lewis 2011 type games you might come across when on online stores, or maybe you're walking through your local Target and you see this game. It is a 2D platformer. It's based on a classic Christmas movie. That is The Grinch Christmas Adventures. Again, a little 2D platformer that probably borrows inspiration from something like Donkey Kong Country. I don't quite know. I just saw this game for 20 bucks. I saw The Grinch. It was a platformer, and that's really all you had to show me. It was an instant buy for me. So, looking forward to playing this around the holidays probably. Maybe with my daughter on my lap. Who knows? It's going to be good times. This, again, just looks like my kind of game. And shout out to The Grinch on the PlayStation 1. It's actually a pretty decent 3D platformer. So be on the lookout for that. And last but certainly not least, we actually have a Amazon package for a game I kind of already opened, but I figured we'd just stuff it back in the bubble mailer and tease it here for the purposes of this video. This is a open world 3D platformer from a series that I've only finished 1 game, dabbled in several, but the series has just never really done much for me. And I felt like this is the one game to potentially change that opinion of this particular character, and that is Sonic Frontiers. I remember watching my good friend Pete Dorr react to this trailer when it originally was teased, and just seeing him react to the fact that this, one of his favorite characters from one of his favorite series growing up, was going fully 3D in this giant open world, was pretty special. But for someone like myself that's just such a big fan of 3D platformers, I figured this is probably the best way for me to get into Sonic. Not to mention the ridiculous Shadow of the Colossus like bosses that you fight in this game, and the insane soundtrack. There just are not many sound, like you hear certain music and you're like, oh yeah, that's Mario, that's Donkey Kong Country, that's from the N64, that's from the Genesis. But when you hear a more recent, like post 2005 Sonic soundtrack, you can't help but tap your foot. Yeah, it doesn't really feel like it's fitting for a video game, but it is when it comes to Sonic. So Sonic Frontiers, looking forward to playing this as well at some point in the near future, because I love my 3D platformers, and maybe it'll be the first Sonic game that really hits for me. But my friends, that is everything for this particular video. We got a nice little stack of Xbox 360 games and a nice little stack of PlayStation 5 games. It's been a while since I've done a mystery unboxing, so if you enjoyed this, please leave a comment below. Consider thumbing the video up and maybe even sharing it with others. Coming real soon, we have a massive pickups video where I will be talking through everything that I've really gotten over the past 7 months, dating back to Christmas, my birthday, things along the way, and we have to talk about the game sitting right down here in this corner, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I recently rolled credits in that, and I cannot wait to share my opinions on it in the next video that you'll hopefully see in just a short week's time. So thank you again so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.